Good evening. Welcome to the January 28th meeting of the Derry Cooperative School District. Before we get started, we'll have our friends from Gilbert H. Hood lead us in the pledge. All right, so before we get started with the presentation, quick approval of minutes. I take a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes from December 10th, 17th, and 14th.
So moved.
First by Jason. Second by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any, were you here on 10th? All right, 10th, 17th, and 14th. All right, so we got 601.
No. I wasn't here for two of those.
All right, hold on, let's restart. We're going to do them individually. I'll take a motion to approve the non-public minutes on December 10th.
So moved.
First by Jason. Second by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? All right, 601.
No.
Hey, you got to say abstention? I can hear you.
I raised my hand.
Ow. I'm not looking at you. I'm looking that way. All right, excuse me? Oh. All right, so we got 502. Take a motion for non-public meeting minutes for December 17th.
So moved.
First by Jason. Second by Michael. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions?
Me.
We got one.
Was I present yet?
You tell me. I don't. Just abstain. All right, we'll do 502 on that one as well.
Not in the attendance, so you weren't here.
Take a motion for the non-public minutes from January 14th.
So moved.
First by Jason. Second by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
I think we're all there on that one.
No, Jen was absent, it says right here, in the minutes.
She was absent. 601. All right. We got the minutes for the public hearing for the capital bond and proposed budget. Take a motion.
So moved.
First by Jason. Second by Jenna. All in favor? Aye. And then we have finally the public minutes for the January 14th meeting.
So moved.
First by Jason. Second by Jenna. All in favor? Aye. All right. Motion passes 7-0. All right. Come on up, guys.
All right.
And the volunteer recognition.
Good evening.
Gilbert H. Hood Middle School. Let me introduce assistant principals, Jolene McWhirter and Melanie Kern. We're so happy to be here tonight to share a little bit about our school. Tonight we have a group of students here to present about student council. Before we get to that presentation, we'd like to recognize our volunteer of the year. The Gilbert H. Hood volunteer of the year is Beth Kalinsky. Beth, would you please step forward and join us? This is the amazing Beth Kalinsky. As one of our school secretaries, I could go on about many things that she does to help run our school. However, tonight I would like to recognize the many things she does above and beyond to volunteer at Gilbert H. Hood. Beth is an active member of our PTSA, including attending almost all the meetings. She volunteers at most school events and helps make sure they run smoothly. For example, she has been essential to the success of our annual golf tournament that raises thousands of dollars for our student activities. She can also be seen attending sporting events to cheer our students, even for those teams that she does not actually coach. Beth is someone we can always count on to be there for whatever we need. She is a vital part of our school community, especially with the time and effort she puts in volunteering above and beyond. These are just a few of the reasons why we would like to recognize Beth Kalinsky as the Gilbert H. Hood Volunteer of the Year. I can even hug you.
I have have a certificate of appreciation, volunteers in education, Beth Kalinsky for valued service at Gilbert H. Hood Middle School.
Yeah, just for a second. Next, I would like to introduce you to Lara Owens and turn it over to the Student Council for their presentation.
Yeah, they decided they wanted to do handheld. So we're doing this. It also means that I get to walk around a little bit, and that makes me happy. If you all want to come up, come on. Okay. Thanks. So good evening. My name is Lara Owens, and I'm the Student Council Advisor at Gilbert H. Hood Middle School. I'd like to thank the school board and Mrs. Long for allowing us to tell you a little bit about what we do in the school and around the community. This is my 6th year as Student Council Advisor, and it's been one of our most active so far. I'm pleased that the group has seamlessly integrated students with West with those from Hood. All of the students have had fantastic input, and we've changed some old activities and started some new traditions. I'd like to thank Mohammed for coming tonight. He is a member of our student council. Student council members were invited because it is a public meeting, and Mohammed was kind enough to show up. So thank you very much for that. I'd now like to introduce, sorry, I'm going to put this down. I'd like to introduce our student council officers who will tell you about their roles and responsibilities. To become an officer, students need to complete an application, get recommendations from 2 adults, make campaign posters, and record a speech that's shown to the 8th grade class who then vote on the candidates. And if our technology works, we have Martin Kadek's campaign video from this year to show you so you have an idea of what the students do.
Hello, students and teachers. My name is Martin Kadek, and I'm excited to run for Vice President of the Student Council. I believe I can bring positive changes to our school and work alongside the President to make this year amazing for everyone. Let me tell you about why I should make a good Vice President at Hood Middle School. If you vote for me, you will be getting a Vice President who is a great team player. I believe teamwork is really important to reach our goals. I think I will be a great support to the President and will listen to the ideas of every council member to make sure that our plans are successful. I'm a person who believes in kindness and respect, and I plan to bring these qualities to the council as Vice President. I'm a creative person who likes to problem solve in new and exciting ways. I will help the council develop and plan new activities for the school this year. I will make sure these updates on upcoming events are communicated to all students in order for others to share their ideas as well. Finally, I want to share how much I appreciate the opportunity to run for student council this year. Thank you for considering me for Vice President. I hope to earn your vote and have a positive impact on our school community.
So I'm going to introduce this year's student council officers, and then they're going to tell you a little bit about their role and what we have been doing so far this year and some upcoming events. So this year, Ahmad Raji, I messed it up. I've been practicing it for so long and I still messed it up, is president of our student council. Martin Kadek was elected vice president. Ron Gifford was elected treasurer, and Sarah Bollinger is our communications officer. So now Ahmad is going to explain some of the things we've been working on, and we'll go on from there.
Thank you, Ms. Owens, Mrs. Long, and the school board. My name is Ahmed Raji, and I'm the 2024-2025 Student Council President. The purpose of the Student Council is to serve as the voice of the student body and foster a sense of community. One of the first events we hosted was the Pink Out Day for breast cancer awareness. Staff and students dressed in pink, and we had a fundraiser bracelet sale. After that, many students and staff dressed up for our annual Halloween costume contest. The library won the staff contest with their Alice in the Wonderland theme. In December, we sponsored a Winter Spirit Week. The days included a Santa Hat Day, an Ugly Sweater Day. As part of that, advisors participated in a door decorating contest. Here are some photos from our activities. That was from Halloween. That was from our Pink Out Day. That as well. That was one of the winners, I think, from the door decorating contest. That one was really good as well. But Student Council isn't finished for the year. We lend our games such as Giant Connect 4, Jenga, and chess for teachers to borrow in their classrooms. Tomorrow we host the Whiteout basketball game against Amherst, which is a fundraiser for the upper room. In February, we have a Silly Spirit Week, Leadership Day at Pinkerton Academy for 8th grade Student Council members and officers, and the Spring Think Dance. This is what Student Council is all about, and we have amazing things yet to come. Martin will now tell everyone about his role as Vice President.
Hello, everybody. My name is Martin Kadek, and I am the Vice President of the Student Council at Gilbert H. Hood Middle School. I chose to run for Vice President because I felt I had the skills best for this position above all other ones. My campaign included creating colorful posters to place around the school with a constant slogan of "Be smart and vote for Martin." I also handed out to my friends and other people that I know stickers and flyers that all the theme to, vote for me, since it's, I was trying to get elected, and recorded a campaign speech of which you guys have already heard. My responsibilities include scheduling signups for the Friday Fun with Aisle, which is a program where some kids go down to the aisle program, and they just play sort of games like Sorry and Connect 4 and things like that with them. I also help run errands in school for the Student Council Advisor, Ms. Owens. I help plan activities at student council meetings, and some of the activities we've planned for this year are the Holiday Spirit Week, the Pink Out bracelets, and candy canes for the candy cane grams. The next up is Ron Gifford, who is the student council treasurer.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ronald Gifford, and I am the student council treasurer. Student Council began this year with $1,353. In February, we had our Valentine's Lollipop sale to help raise money for our club. We have had 2 fundraisers so far. In October, we sold bracelets to raise money for the legendary Donna Farber Cancer Institute, and we raised $439. That money will go to patients to get gas, cards, and groceries while they have treatment. We also sold t-shirts for our Whiteout game, basketball game. We raised almost $400, which will go to Upper Room here in Derry. So Sarah Belanger will now explain what she does as communications officer.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Belanger, and I'm the communications officer. My job is to advertise our activities by making and posting flyers and ensuring that they are hung up throughout the school. I also take pictures of our events. I took one of the Pink Out Day photos you saw earlier. Here are 2 flyers I made for Pink Out Day and Winter Spirit Week. For Winter Spirit Week, we had one day where each team would dress up as different characters, and House C had reindeer. Do you have any questions for us? Thank you for your time.
No, I was gonna try to keep this. Yes, you can. I'll trade you.
I'd like to thank Mrs. Owens and the Student Council for their presentation. I'd also like to thank them for their great work that they do in helping to build a strong and positive community in our school. While I have your attention, well, let me pass these to Ms. Owens first. Thank you, Ms. While I have your attention, I'd also like to remind everyone that Gilbert H. Hood will be helping the greater community this Saturday at the deliberative session. Our chorus, led by Kate Boisvert, will be presenting the national anthem, and our National Junior Honor Society is providing babysitting for anyone who may need it for Saturday's deliberative session. Thank you.
Thank you.
just want to take a moment and thank the parents for bringing their students here, thank the staff, and thank you guys for stepping up and being such excellent leaders. It's so good to see you taking risks and applying yourself and doing a whole campaign and so forth. And of course, congratulations. And even if you're not an officer, right? Great to be on the team and helping out. So thank you very much, Gilbert H. Hood, and thank you for the presentation. It was fantastic.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. So give it a couple minutes. We'll move on to delegations and individuals. All right, so at this time, I'll open up delegation individuals. You get 3 minutes. Reminder, give your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen on the school board. My name's Michael Lahan. I live at 84 Sinead Road. I think most people know I absolutely love education. Excited to be here. First, I wanted to thank the school board. I think you all have done an amazing job with respect to selection of the new superintendent. To have a public forum where members of the public can meet the candidates ahead of the selection, I think this is a great thing. And I want to give credit where credit is due. You've done a great job with that. Time's limited. I'd like to keep going on that. I'm going to continue from the conversation started last time. Looking at our RSA, New Hampshire RSAs, our state laws. I'll start first. There's only 2 laws I'm going to read here that may be of interest to the school board and certainly the people of the town. From Title 15, which is education, beginning there, Chapter 193D, Safe School Zones, Section 193D1. In this chapter, act of theft, destruction, or violence means an act set forth in the following statutes, regardless of the age of the perpetrator. I'm going to skip ahead to where I believe it's relevant. Criminal mischief under RSA 634-2. We skip over here to 634. This is under Chapter 62 of the Criminal Code, Chapter 634, destruction of property. Section 2, criminal mischief. I'm skipping Chapter 1, it's fire, which is pretty ironic given the last presentation I've had here. A person is guilty of criminal mischief who, having no right to do so, nor any reasonable basis for belief of having such a right, purposely or recklessly damages the property of another, who causes permanent or temporary damage to public property, including vandalism, defacement, destruction, tampering with, or any unauthorized alteration to public property. Criminal mischief is a Class B felony if the actor purposely causes or attempts to cause. Single one of these needs to apply. Pecuniary loss in excess of $1,500, which can be in totality. If it's over $100 and less than $1,500, it's only a misdemeanor. What am I talking about? The school district disposed of property in dumpsters. It's public property. It's not your property. There is a duty to report under the safe school zones. This requires all school employees If you'd like, I can read school employees because I thought this only applied directly to Dr. Garofalo. This applies to everyone on this board, unfortunately with the exception of the students. If you receive a paycheck, it applies to you. Written report is required, 193D4 on here. This is the last thing, and you can make your best decisions. Any public or private school employee who's witnessed or who has information from the victim of an act of theft, destruction, or violence in a safe school zone shall report such act in writing immediately to a supervisor. A supervisor receiving such report shall immediately forward such information to the school principal, who shall file it with local law enforcement authority. Such report shall be made by the principal to the local law enforcement authority immediately by telephone or otherwise, and shall be followed within 48 hours by a report in writing. And beyond there, it's if the victim's a student, which clearly it's not. The district is the victim here. So I hope a report will be filed with this. I'm awaiting the response to the 91A. I appreciate the temporary response. Considering you're asking for a blank check for $30 million or beyond, it'd be nice to know what's actually happened with school property already. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Richard Tripp. Excuse me. I live at 44 Wyndham Road. I was up at the State House last week, and I ran into Virginia Drew. You know, you might not recognize the name, but she is the person that conducts the tours at the State House. And, you know, Phyllis and I always try to be at the State House when the Derry fourth grade is there. But I asked Virginia, I says, Virginia, when is the Derry kids coming up? And she says, well, there's only one school that has registered. And so it was Hood. And I go, actually, it can't be Hood because Hood doesn't have a fourth grade, right? Anyhow, so I would hope that you take this back to the fourth grade teachers, so whoever registers the classes that go up to State House, because it's an important day because they get to see, you know, the State House. I believe the State House is over 100 years old, and they get to see how the state is governed. The fact is, one of the ladies that's here tonight, she said that she visited the State House when she was in fourth grade, and that she's going to be going up to the State House tomorrow, and she'll be testifying on a bill, you know. So this is wonderful. If we can get the kids to realize, you know, what their involvement in the state government is, that'd be wonderful. All right, so much for the good news. I was talking with Jane tonight, and I said it's wonderful that all the material that's going to be presented at the deliberative session is available online. And so I went online and looked. I wasn't able to peruse everything, but I did peruse the DEA cost of tentative agreement. I thought it was interesting that the first year there is an increase of $1,371 in odd change. The second year there's an increase of $1,540,000 in odd change. And in the third the third years, there's an increase of 1,586,000. So that means that, while the teachers are getting a, can I have another half minute? Half well-deserved raise, because due to the inflation and everything, the taxpayers are going to be saddled with having to pay an extra roughly 1.3 million the first year, an extra 2.8 million the second year, and an extra 4.6 million the third year. And after that, we'll have another CBA agreement, collective bargaining agreement, and they'll probably ask for some more money. My comment here is that I wish the school board would have used a little better strategy, knowing that the inflation rate has been, excessive for the past few years. If they anticipated it going down, they should have asked the teachers to accept something less than a 3-year agreement, because after 1 or 2 years that you had negotiated this year, you could possibly negotiate something that isn't 3%. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Hi, Heather Rondo, 25B Hoodcraft Drive. I just wanted to say that I've been coming to the budget meetings and to the board meetings, and I have learned so much from each and every one of you, and I just wanted to thank you. I know you guys take a lot of heat for a lot of things, but I've actually learned a lot in how things work, and I just wanted to share my thanks with each and every one of you for a great job.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys for coming up. Next on the agenda, we have an update from Mr. Henry for Pinkerton Academy.
I don't have anything new from last meeting other than today's the first day of the second semester, and if anyone wants to see the new building, the open house is February 5th at around 6 p.m.
I actually have a few new things. We just wrapped up progress meeting days, and the students were engaged in community service activities, a presentation from a career panel, opportunities to speak with some of the Derry State representatives, and we also did a clothing swap. The school administration also announced a plan to renovate some extra space that was probably used for storage. Previously, not probably. Applications have also opened for the 2025 through 2026 school year. And lastly, Next has begun its yearly raffle calendar fundraiser to fund a school-wide dance that we do every year.
Awesome, thank you. So just for people who might not catch that, that was Miss Kyle from Next Charter School with her update right after Anthony. So Anthony, I have a quick question for you. So my son's a sophomore. When do report cards come out?
I actually don't know. I haven't gotten mine yet. I assume the teachers need more time to finish final exam grades because that just happened Friday, so.
I appreciate it. So up next, we have a presentation from Joe Crawford and Kim Conan on achievement data.
Okay, so tonight we'd like to share a story that not just about the data points and the percentages, but about our students' progress, our teachers' dedication, and our collective commitment to their success. Picture a group of children standing on the threshold of their learning journey. Some sprint ahead, Some find their stride later, but every single step counts. Our data from the past year, captured through the state assessments and NEWA MAP growth assessment, reveals critical insights into this journey. It provides a snapshot of how students are mastering the standards. It gives us a glimpse into their readiness for the future challenges, such as high school. It highlights where instructional needs are most pressing and where our classrooms are shining. But here's what the data truly represents: children, each with unique stories of growth. Behind every percentage increase is a student achieving something they weren't able to before. Behind every gain is a teacher celebrating a win, big or small. This is not just a set of numbers. It's a map guiding us to ensure every child thrives. Joe will now provide an overview of the two assessments, SAS spring data and fall NEWA MAP data. Currently, we're in the process of administering our winter assessments.
All right. So for board members, we provided some supplemental data for you in your packet because there's a lot. So I think it was a good 30 or so pages worth of additional data. We didn't feel like this was the right forum to go through 30 different slides about data, but we wanted you to have all of that. So as Kim said, there are really two big standardized assessments that we take in the district. The first one we're talking about here is the New Hampshire State Assessment. And that is given in the spring, and it's in math, English language arts, and then science in grades 5 and 8. So what we're looking at right here is 4 years worth of SAS, New Hampshire SAS math data. So the purple represents the performance this past spring. So there are certain areas that relatively little change. There were some areas where we saw some drops. There were some areas where we saw some increases. The numbers that you see here are the percent of students who scored proficient or above. This is the English language arts data, similar groupings. So we're showing you 4 years worth of data. Again, this is the percentage of students who scored proficient or above. You know, one thing to think about whenever you're looking at data like this is when you're looking within a grade span, you're not looking at the same cohort of students, right? So you're actually looking at different groups of students year to year. So you can track, you know, grade 3 in 1 year as grade 4, and the next year as grade 5, and the next year if you want to do it that way. And we do have some cohort data set up. This last chart shows science data performance. So this is again over a 4-year span. As I said earlier, we administer the New Hampshire SAS science assessment in the spring to 5th graders and 8th graders. Just for context, students in high school also do these assessments in 11th grade. Anthony, you probably have to take, yep. So at the high school level for math and English language arts, they use the SAT, and they do take a New Hampshire SAS science assessment in 11th grade. You're also probably familiar with NWEA data, and I want to try to explain a little bit of these charts. So first, what we're looking at here is NWEA math data from last year. So this is the entire school district. Over on the right, you can see there are 2,513 students that were in the cohort group. So the top bar shows our growth on a percentile range. So it tracks our growth from fall to spring, lined up with the entire norm group, which is millions and millions of students across the United States. So last year, fall to spring, we actually saw slightly above average growth when compared to our peers, 59th percentile in growth. And the way that translates to achievement is if you look below, we began the year in the fall at about the 49th percentile for math. We ended the year at about the 55th percentile for math. And this tracks with some of the data that we've discussed last year. You may remember each of our schools had specific targeted goals, and many of them were focused on math achievement. So it's great to see that there was some movement in math. This next chart shows the same sort of breakdown of data, but now we're looking at reading. So again, our growth was actually slightly below average at 45th percentile growth last year. Again, we're still looking fall to spring, so this is about a full instructional year, keeping in mind that we do the fall testing within a few weeks at the start of the year, and we do our spring testing typically in April or May, depending on the year. So it's for all intents and purposes, a full years of instruction. So last year, our achievement when we started the year, we were slightly above average, 53rd percentile, and we finished the year 51st percentile. And you know, it's kind of self-explanatory, but when we look at NWEA data, we break down student performance into kind of 5 bands, and the percentile keys are down at the bottom there. So obviously, we really want to move more and more students into that green and blue, but this is norm reference data, so we're fighting against the norm data. So we're always in this data comparing ourselves to the norm group. I want to show you some other, this is fall data for this fall. So this is just looking at the start of this school year and our math data by grade level. So you can see there are a few grade levels that are many of our grade levels are right around the 50th percentile to start the year in the area of math. We've got a couple of areas that they're a little bit darker orange, meaning that they're in the 40th percentile or below. So those are going to be areas that when we looked at this data, I think it was in October when we met with the leadership group, we had identified some areas of relative weakness that we need to focus on. As you can see here in the area of math, grade 3 and grade 6 are relatively those focus areas that are performing a little bit lower. When we look at our reading achievement fall, you can see that there's a pretty consistent range here with the exception of grade 2. Now, I don't have a lot of great explanations for grade 2 because what I'm about to explain, if you're paying attention and know that it's norm data, then this isn't a really clear explanation. We do know that grade 2, the fall of grade 2 is the first time that our students are taking the reading test without the ability for questions to be read to them. Obviously, first graders and kindergartners start taking in winter, right? These are kids that are emerging readers, so the test, it's a different type of test for these readers. So there are questions that are read to them. When they start in the fall of second grade, it's the first time that they have to really read the test completely for themselves. So this isn't completely unusual. We have seen some dips in the fall of second grade, but it isn't something that we're ignoring. We certainly want to focus and pay attention on it. On the right-hand side, you can just see the number of students in each cohort group. Gives you a sense. That is the overwhelming vast majority of students in our district take these tests. There are handfuls of students that might not, based on the developmental appropriateness of the test for that individual student. And of course, there are students that are traveling or out sick. And but in general, this is the vast majority of our students. We don't need to necessarily get into the RIT, what that RIT means. All you need to know is this is an equal interval scale called it's a Roush unit scale. So what that RIT number does is it allows us to place students in a developmental instructional continuum. So we know that students who are scoring at a RIT of 200, we actually have a bank of data about what are appropriate materials, instructional activities for that RIT unit. And the nice thing about those is they are not dependent on grade level. So a third grader having a RIT of 200 and a fifth grader having a RIT of 200 are actually reading at the same level, if that makes sense. So that's why that RIT number is important for us for instructional purposes.
So, this data does not define our students, nor does it capture their full potential. It doesn't tell us everything about the creativity, perseverance, and interpersonal skills that make them exceptional. Instead, it provides one key piece of the puzzle, offering us a foundation to build upon. When we look closer, we see that not all journeys are linear. There are dips in achievement or gaps that remind us that some of our systems need refining. Why might these challenges exist? Consider some of the transitions we've navigated: restructuring schools, updating the curriculum maps, and aligning teacher practices across classrooms. These changes have certainly brought challenges, but they also highlight the dedication of our teachers, who have been working hard despite facing significant adjustments last year and this year. We remain committed to continue resourcing and empowering them to navigate these transitions. But here's the exciting part. We're already started to lay the groundwork for meaningful change. Let me share just a few highlights of what's happening right now through our strategic plan. Plan 2, improving math progressions. We are aligning math curriculum across grades, making different pathways for skill building. Plan 5, we're establishing common instructional beliefs with a focus on practices like structured literacy. We're ensuring that every teacher has the tools proven to work. Plan 7, we're implementing common literacy assessments. These will help us better understand and identify to each of the students' learning needs. Plan 8, learning walks. By observing and calibrating our teaching practices, we're identifying bright spots to celebrate and areas for improvement. Plans 10 and 12, building data teams and MTSS processes. These structures will help us to respond to students more effectively. In Plan 16, we are clarifying and calibrating the intended learning outcome for our standards and our competencies. Of course, learning doesn't happen in a vacuum. Our students need academic tools, interpersonal skills, and opportunities to stretch their understanding through hands-on experiences. Here's what we're doing to meet those needs. That is building our social and emotional awareness in our students. Applied learning opportunities. Programs like Project Lead the Way challenge students to connect their learning to real-world problems. Behavior supports. We're addressing student behavior in meaningful, supportive ways to ensure that all children can thrive. Behind these efforts, there are countless stories of success from our classrooms, which our principals will share with you shortly. These stories remind us why we do this work, for the progress, big and small, that shapes every student's future. I'm going to invite Dave Brown.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dave Brown, the proud principal at Ernest P. Barca Elementary School, and I'm here to tell you the next chapter. I'm excited to highlight the exceptional work being done at Barca Elementary School by two outstanding specialists, Jane Fox, our math specialist, and Wendy Mahoney, our reading specialist. Their expertise and dedication play a critical role in establishing in ensuring that our students receive the targeted support that they need to be successful. One area where their impact is particularly evident is in our focus blocks. These are intervention blocks that are designed to provide students with additional time to be tailored with support in math and ELA. Jane and Wendy take the lead in analyzing and assessing the data to make informed decisions about how to effectively group students. This work requires deep understanding of both students' needs and curriculum goals. Jane meticulously examines math performance data to identify skill gaps and strategically group students, ensuring that each child receives the instruction that enhances their mathematical understanding. The same goes for Wendy. Wendy utilizes literacy data to guide reading interventions, targeting foundational skills, and fostering growth in fluency and comprehension. Beyond their work with data, Jane and Wendy support our teachers by offering resources, guidance, and strategies to enhance classroom instruction. Their collaboration ensures that our focus blocks are not only productive, but also align with our broader instructional goals. Thanks to their dedication, and of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention the hard work of our teachers and paraprofessionals at Barca. We have seen measurable growth in students' performance and increased confidence among their learning. Jane Fox and Wendy Mahoney their work exemplifies what it means to be student-focused and data-driven, and I'm grateful for their expertise and passion that they bring to Barca every day. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
everyone. I'm Melissa Lance, principal at Grinnell, and I'm excited to talk about math engagement, teachers, and students. Our teachers have shown incredible dedication in adapting and enhancing their teaching practices, particularly in the area of math. Working closely with the curriculum team and the math specialists, they've been able to integrate valuable resources that have significantly improved students' conceptual understanding of math, their ability to speak as mathematicians, and their engagement with one another. Students are using more strategies to solve problems, demonstrating flexible and higher level thinking, and sharing their strategies and ideas with peers through discussions and journaling. Teachers have credited the curriculum adjustment, focus interventions, launch activities, and our math specialists for this increase in engagement. Teachers continue to use data to pinpoint where students are struggling and now incorporate those areas into their morning meeting. This has been a powerful tool for connection and engagement. Activities such as the game Sparkle, where students skip count multiples of a number, for example, or discuss the properties of shapes like a cylinder, have proven to be both fun and educational. These activities help reinforce key concepts and fill learning gaps while also building a sense of community in the classroom. I would love to invite any school board member if you want to come in and see a morning meeting where they're doing some of these activities. It's really fun to see the excitement that they get and just watching them not realize they're learning math while they're doing it. The focus interventions provide time for students to engage in a variety of mathematical activities. Sample launch activities were provided to teachers through the work of the math specialist and the curriculum team. And these activities engage the students to shift their math thinking and communicate with one another. An example of a launch activity is a target number, where a number is written on the board and the students come up with different representations of that number, and then they discuss. They talk about what they notice is different, if anything seems unusual, could they come up with another way of representing the number? And then they build off of that by changing it to a different number and changing that representation. To engage students in math, we need to be able to have time for them to think and discuss. I'm excited to see the continued growth and achievement of our students, and it really makes me happy to see students excited and engaged in math.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us here tonight. Probably our greatest success came from some of our challenges that we faced as we started to shift from the spring, and I think back to when we were making the shift in March, April, May, into the beginning of the year at West Running Brook. All of the collaborative work that the teachers and the students did, along with the parents, to start to build a culture at West Running Brook. Is a 5-6 school from the ground up. Really has been probably our greatest achievement. We live by the mantra that everyone is happy and safe so they can learn, and it's an all hands on deck mentality among the staff. Bring the parents in, and the whole community. Really, the support has been really special. I think the excitement as the students build more personal responsibility now that they have some more newfound freedoms being in our school and developing the routines that we have established has really brought I've never been a part of anything like this, and it's been a really special time to watch from the beginning to see where we are today. Probably the best part about what has happened is the collaboration that happens among the 5th and 6th graders. We've pulled our resources together. We've been able to have a lot of multi-grade level things happening, and we look to continue to grow that at West Running Brook. We are looking forward to tweaking some of what we do curriculum-wise to meet some of the needs. We weren't sure moving in what we might face, but adjustments to how we deliver social studies curriculum and how we deliver in combination with our math and science curriculum. Looking forward to making some tweaks to that so we can see even greater achievement as we move into next year. So we are really proud of our staff. The enriching opportunities they have offered our students. We have over 30 clubs that are happening after school right now. Just today we had over 100 students who are after school participating in different things, and just the excitement around the building and seeing the growth of the students and the staff from the beginning of the year to now really has made West Running Brook a special place to be. So we thank you.
So how does that all happen with the wonderful teams that we have in our building? I couldn't be any prouder of the teams that we have at East Derry. We had teachers come in from other schools, and there were core people that were already teachers there at East Derry. They had to build those relationships, and you provided us with the early release days that they're able to do it. That time is priceless for them. They're able to collaborate and work as a team. They share goals. They exchange ideas. They problem solve. It's a great time. They're at the point in their relationships that they lay it all on the table. I am struggling with this. Who can help me? What did it look like in your classroom? Or I had great success with this. Let me share this with you. It's job-embedded professional development. It's great when you bring outside consultants in. You learn a lot of things from that too. But when you're sitting down with your peers and colleagues that are living it and doing it every day and have knowledge that you don't have, and they're sharing it with you, and you can apply it in your classroom right away, is fantastic. They talk about student outcomes, and they're able to differentiate lessons because of the conversations they have when they look at that standard of the competency and how do we teach it and how do we get there and what resources will we use. Hey, let me get that for you. I know I have this. I've used this before. Or the curriculum department just brought us this new stuff. Let's look into that. All data driven. They're looking at NWA. They're looking at SAS. They're looking at their assessments, both formative and summative in the classroom, to make decisions on where do we need to go from here. And where are our students at? Where do we need to take them? Do we need to take a step back and redo something? So they do that. There's a great sense of belonging and support in these settings. And then in the end, what it does, it's improve instruction and student achievement. Looking forward to, down the road a little bit more. It helps with the targeted interventions like people have already talked about, but we need to get to the point also when we're talking about vertical time. So we can, the team before us and the team after us, we have those conversations to see where they were, where they should be, where they're going, and making sure that we're not duplicating things. And then we can move things at a pace where our students will achieve at their highest possible level. So, early release days, so appreciate them. It's magic, absolute magic. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, thanks for having us. I do want to talk a little bit about personalized learning through connections and relationships. But before I to get me there, I want to kind of back up in the presentation in the first few slides. You guys saw a lot of test data and test scores and data slides and all that. And I know Joe believes this truly, but I'm going to say it. There are so many great things that are happening in our buildings that you're not going to find on test scores. And I truly think you guys feel the same way. But I wanted to say that publicly for all of you out at home watching. We do a lot of great things. I do recognize the importance of test scores and test data and looking at, and I also accept that it's often spoken about, see it on the news, read about it in the papers, schools are failing and, kids aren't making the grade and test scores are falling and all that stuff. But I'll tell you one thing that will not be seen on test scores. You're not going to find it. It won't be assessed on tests. It won't be on your data slides. And that is the positive relationships and connections that all of us are making in every single one of our buildings. You're not going to see that. And I told you I'm going to get to personalized learning, so I will. But before I do, I want to share a remarkable occurrence that has been happening over the course of a number of years and continues to happen this year. And it's all about conversations with our kids and conversations that are initiated by our kids. You know, so our kids will see you, and and I know Austin and Joe, you guys have probably experienced this when you come into our buildings. They ask you how you're doing. They sincerely want to know. And if you ask them how they're doing, they'll respond, and then they will follow up with, and how are you doing? How is your day going so far? Those things are not seen on test scores, and I feel that those things are far more important than any test scores that we saw on those data slides. All right, I'm going to step down off my soapbox. I apologize, and I will focus and tie this into personalized learning and some of our instructional strategies. So building those positive relationships, having those connections, we begin to learn about our kids, learn about their specific needs. And to do that, we can personalize some of their learning experiences. So for example, at the elementary schools, right, all of our students are assigned to a homeroom. On any given day, at any time during the day, those kids may not be learning in their particular classroom. They might be next door with another classroom teacher. They might be across the hall with another teacher. They might be in another small group area working with a trusted adult whom they've established a positive relationship with. And that's how we are personalizing learning and addressing our students' needs. So that's it for me. I don't know who's next.
Lisa.
Okay.
Second time. Hello again. I think I need those. At Gilbert H. Hood Middle School, we have been focusing on building a strong, positive community. With the district's restructure this year, our school has become a new community by blending students and staff from two schools. This gives us the opportunity to create something new and amazing by blending ideas and experiences together, or maybe even doing some things in a whole new way. Building a strong, positive community is essential to the success of a school, and especially essential, I believe, to the success of a middle school. For all students, but especially middle school students, being connected to and a part of a school community is important for their learning and growth. When students feel connected to the school community, they are more willing to share their ideas, more open to hear the thoughts of others, and more willing to try new things and persevere through challenges. Students who feel connected to the adults and other students in the school community are more likely to make good decisions and treat each other with kindness, compassion, and empathy. As a school, we continue to focus on learning, growth, and connections. At Gilbert H. Hood, we like to think of the school community in many layers. Each layer plays a part, and together they strengthen the whole. This idea is represented in the graphic on the slide. At the top is the student, and as you go through each layer, the number of students gets larger. One student builds to an advisory, which is a small group of students that meet each day in morning meeting. Community starts every morning in those advisory groups. Next, we build toward the learning communities that are created in each individual classroom. Next, we group classrooms together to create team communities, and 2 team communities are structured together to form house communities. It would then follow that all this combined creates our school community, which is ultimately a part of the greater community around us. Each layer has purpose within itself and then works together as a whole. Now, it takes more than these different layers to create a strong community. It's what we do and create together that strengthen us together. You'll see in this graphic that it's surrounded by in-school events and activities and after-school clubs, activities, and sports. What we do together and the various opportunities we have for students to connect to school helps strengthen our school community. People become connected when they have shared experiences. Student Council shared earlier some of the events and activities we have had with students and staff. On this slide is a small sampling of some activities we've done together. Halloween contests and school spirit weeks, the color run. There's a picture of a team of teachers who participated in something called Underground Spirit Days, which I'll tell you about if you're interested. Here's a picture of our amazing SRO officer kid joining the Adventure Lore event. Of course, these are only a small sampling. We've hosted many in-school events, either as a whole school, as a team, or a house, or as a classroom, or an advisory. We also have around 30 different after-school clubs and activities, as well as about 25 sports teams offered throughout the year. In fact, you're all invited to the Gilbert H. Hood Whiteout basketball game tomorrow if you'd like to come. All Hood Husky fans wear white and cheer our teams during their last home games of the season. There are lots of different ways to get connected at our school, and building those connections is important. We know that building connections helps us grow. We also know that building a strong, positive community takes intention, time, and grace. The layers of community have purpose. There's an intention in what we do and how we do it. Building community also takes time and grace. It takes time to feel connected. Every opportunity and shared experience is a building block. It also means offering grace to each other. We have and probably will make mistakes. A strong, positive school community allows people to own their mistakes and work to do better. We all, students and staff together, strive to do better every day. We are so grateful for the opportunity to share some of the things we've been doing and why we're doing them. Some of the positive results of the district restructuring is that our shared experiences have led to both challenges and successes. These have allowed for growth that we may not have experienced otherwise. We're proud of our school community and what we've been able to build so far. We look forward to the continued growth we will do together.
So, as we continue this journey, we recognize there is more work ahead. To prepare our students for a changing world, we must nurture their ability to adapt, collaborate, and apply knowledge meaningfully. This is where our vision truly shines. We are inspired to ensure every learner not only succeeds, but thrives in our interconnected and ever-evolving world. Do you have any questions? Thank you to all the principals.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say thank you to the Gilbert H. Hood staff, because I was in the deep pickup line the day of the pipe break, and what I heard in the community and what I witnessed with my own eyes were two different things. Students came out the door, they were directed where to go, there wasn't chaos, not even with the 3-year-olds. So I just want to say thank you to you for, I know it wasn't expected, it wasn't a drill, it was real, and I just want to say thank you for what you were able to do that day. Years ago, when we were building Barca, I happened to be at Hood with the stock market team when there was a real drill too. There was actually an electrical fire with somebody that was working. And I experienced it as not as a nana watching, but I experienced it as a person having to leave the building. And the process in 2000 and whatever year that was the same as it was last week. So I'm sure you've made it a little more fine than it was before, but I just want to make sure that you get recognized, because what I saw was fabulous for your students, for the next students, for your staff, and even for the 3-year-olds. So thank you.
I have 2 questions. First, thank you for the presentation. Thanks to the principals. Always great to hear from you all. Are you able to provide any information or kind of show a correlation between the standardized test results and what's actually happening in the classroom from a performance standpoint? So I understand it's just a moment in time. This is one test. Not all kids like to take tests. They don't test well, et cetera. But where there's a little bit more runway in the classroom and there, throughout the trimester or 3 trimesters, is there a correlation as to the performance, what we're seeing in the results, to really what's happening in the classroom, right? Like, how are they progressing? And I know we have the different metrics, but are you able to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so we have common assessments. Well, we're starting the process of common assessments, but we have really specific learning targets this year that the teachers teach to and that they look for and it's looking for. They can assess on that, and then we look at that data so that we can see how it better aligns. So we are really trying to build an aligned curriculum. So the learning targets really go and match with our data, like NEWA and SAS, and that they measure in the classroom as well, so that we can kind of see, okay, where is this going? Other thing is that we have secondary screeners. So we have right now, we're doing a math screener that is K to 4 right now, that every single student takes. So we measure that data also and that's an interview, like a one-on-one interview process. So we measure that data against what our NEWA data is. So we look at those two pieces of data as well as the classroom data with the teachers. And sort of like what Mary was saying, at those early release days, that's when they look at their classroom data, they look at the NEWA data and the focus data, which is our intervention, and we can see how that's aligned. The second thing is that we're building, we have essential learning standards. So every single standard doesn't have the same weight. Some of them are essential. So those are our grade level standards that every single kid that we want in that grade level should master by the end of the year. And those are our essentials. That's a little bit different than we have had in the past. So there is work in progress, and the common assessments are going to be developed. We have task force teams that teachers have applied to be on. Those will be starting up in the next 2 weeks, and that is some of the work that the teams will start to do.
So is that something that you'd be able to share at some point, kind of actual classroom performance?
Yes.
Right?
Mhm.
I don't want to say throw out the standardized test results. Obviously, it's important. But to me, what matters is what's happening in the classroom
100%.
and the student actually progressing through the curriculum and obviously at the grade level. So I'd like to see that at some point whenever it's synthesized, and you can present that out and kind of talk about how they all connect. And then the second piece is assuming the go forward plan, right? This is in the past. Has this been rolled out to teachers in the building and ask for feedback? Are they obviously they're going to be part of it, but what has the feedback been with regards to moving forward to kind of address some of the deficiencies or the performance that you've kind of called out previously?
We haven't they've been looking at it at team levels, and I know that the schools have data teams that they've been looking at. Like Barca just had one the other day. Do you want to talk about it, Dave?
So the data team gets together, we look at like.
You have to go in here. Or over here.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about it. So the data team gets together. We just, we're finishing up our winter NEWAs and the math screeners. And we want to make sure that we are grouping the kids so that we can have them go into classrooms and get the necessary instruction that they need to be able to move forward like you're talking about. So that's what we do when we have the data team together, so that we can make all those necessary changes.
And they look at it as a school, and then they look at it as a team, and then they look at it as a classroom. There's 3 levels.
And it breaks down into those focus periods that I was talking about. That's where the kids can really refine what they're learning.
Understood. Thanks. The reason I ask, performance is relative, right? So every student's going to have a baseline. What I'm concerned with is individual student growth, them against themselves, right? Where are they this trimester versus the previous, or this year versus the year before? So I'd like to see kind of that progression.
We have that. We have
in addition to
spreadsheets
the
on that.
testing, NEWA and SAS and things, but
And that's really where the teacher's professionalism comes in, and they make those calls every day. And grouping, we talk about grouping them into those focus groups, but really the teachers are doing it in the classroom. You walk into a classroom and you see the teachers, they have the kids grouped into different groups when they're teaching a certain skill. And they're amazing. There's 3-ring circus, right? They're working those groups so that those kids get everything that they can out of that instructional time.
And we track that data through our own spreadsheets this year, so we can show
yeah,
it
it'd
to
be
you.
great to present it and see.
Absolutely, we can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Piggybacking off Jason, so great that we have that data. I feel like I've asked if we could find some sort of, like, lack of a better term, district report card where, or even school report card where we have the ability, or the public has the ability to be able to drill in and see, okay, you know, how is the district doing, right? And maybe it is, we have different parts of that, which is NWEA testing or achievement or growth. It is, you know, even talking about activities, what type of student utilization is being done by before and after school activities, you know, how many, even seeing trends with regards to, I know we talked about behaviors here and being able to see that, whether it's bullying or any other type of behaviors that we're seeing, and be able to have that information where you can drill down from a district level or even a school level to see how, again, how each of those schools is performing, but also be able to backtrack that to see trends and say, you know, comparatively year over year, or, you know, this was what it was now, but 10 years from now, this is what it's going to be. You know, I think having that information would be vastly important to share, so that we can start having tangible information. And I agree with Matt, you know, it is about just, you know, it's not just about a test score, but I think there are ways in which we as a district can be providing a lot more of context to the learning that we're providing outside of just a test score, right? Like I said, there are all these other things that make a student improved or better, and so I want to make sure we recognize those as well.
And we are looking at this year, the data, we're looking at this year as the baseline, or last spring as the baseline because of the restructuring. So now the data, look, you can't really compare. You can compare students, but my department and myself, we've really looked at, we have been looking at district-wide views. We've been looking at trends. We have been involved in data a lot. Like, I'm looking at them because we really have been. And we have, we set goals. We have, you know, if you look at my office, there's like charts all over where we're tracking out things. So we are on the, and we're changed the curriculum to better align in both literacy and math. So we will start to see those trends.
I guess I just also want to acknowledge, so Aaron, Dennis, and Mitch are here tonight. They make up Kim's curriculum team, and with leading the way, these 4 people have really moved a lot in this district over the last this school year. They have been asked to make a lot of changes, and change isn't always, as probably you know this, right? Change isn't always something that's easy for people to take on, and nor should it be. I think, you know, there's a degree of discomfort that's probably good for us, that forces us to think differently and grow. But that sometimes being the deliverers or the communicators of that change can be tiring and can be exhausting and can be challenging. But I have been so impressed with the professionalism and the dedication of this team. They, you know, these 3 sitting back here tonight, they're not presenting. We didn't ask them to present or do anything, but they just came because that's the team that they are. So they deserve a lot of the credit for a lot of the good work, along with Kim, obviously. So I just
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for everyone coming in and giving the presentation. It's nice to hear the positivity in what you're presenting and seeing the behind the scenes stuff that's going on at these schools. And some of us have kids, we see different things, we don't see the whole picture. And I truly appreciate that, and I know it hasn't been an easy year, but the way you guys present it and talk and positive about what's going on in your schools is very encouraging and appreciative. And there's a lot of good questions by the board members tonight, so thank you all. I really do appreciate it, and you know, have a great night.
Thank you.
I should have also recognized the Grinnell staff with the flood because you took all those kids in, the cafeteria staff fed them and made them all comfortable. So I did recognize it, I just didn't say it. So thank you to your staff as well, Melissa.
All right, moving on. Next we got Jane with our business administrator update.
Okay, I would actually like to introduce Brian Toner from ARM Roofing Consultants. Brian, if you want to come on up. We did meet and they did an assessment of an issue that we're having at Grinnell on the roof. And they gave us a report we wanted to have something that we could visually show the board. So I apologize that it didn't make it in for the board packet, but it was posted online earlier today. And I'd like Brian to go over the issue that we're having there. This is something that he'll talk about that will tie into the roof project that we have in the warrant article. So, and he's got some pictures to show you before and after of what the roof looks like now and what it should look like. And Brian's the project manager at ARM, and he's been doing a lot of the work in the district for us. So he's very familiar with our roofs.
Very much so. So thank you guys for your time tonight. I just want to explain what the detail is there. So we've done inspections on the roofs at Grinnell, South Range, Derry Village, pretty much all of the schools in the district. Within the last year, we noticed that the edge metal is actually ripped up from the CMU wall, which means over time, the EPDM has shrunk due to heating and cooling, and it's no longer connected. So the blocking's ripped off. So what we're proposing is, in order to provide a watertight condition, until we can do these replacements in the spring, we're gonna go in, remove all the blocking, remove the edge metal, install new membrane, new blocking secured to the CMU wall properly and to the decking, and we're going to leave like a 3-foot flap so that when they do the replacements in the spring, they can just cut that tie in and then it tie right into the new membrane and the new edge metal. So this work will be completed. It's not gonna be double charged for the edge metal. Essentially, it's gonna be taken off the price when they do the full replacement. So it's a one-time deal. One of the things that we are gonna require for the installation is that whoever does the installation is licensed with all the manufacturers. That way, they're not tied to one manufacturer, because when they do this work, you can't install a Carlisle edge metal with a Johns Manville membrane. So whoever does the work will have to be licensed and with all manufacturers, and then we can bid it out. So this is what it looks like now. I don't know if you guys can see that at home as well, but basically everything's ripped off, and then we have an after picture of what it will look like with the blocking installed to the CMU wall and then the decking as well. So that's a much more secure detail that will last, 25, 30 years, if not longer.
So did I hear you right? You said this cost is already part of the original estimate that was given to us? Or
Yes. So the original estimate was basically budgetary pricing. So of that estimate, we're going to it's going to go out to public bid so that we'll get contractors and we'll have multiple bids. So the original budgetary pricing, this was included. It will be an additional mobilization fee, but the overall price will be taken off of that budget. So this will be final, completely installed. We won't have to touch it again.
Is this? I had a question. Is this natural, like wear and tear, or did something happen to this? Is this something that?
So it's a little out of the ordinary. We don't typically see the blocking being ripped off like this, but it is natural for an EPDM or any type of membrane to shrink over the course of 20, 30 years. So it doesn't appear that the blocking was installed properly, or could have been installed properly to the building code back when it was installed in the 80s or 90s. The code has gotten a lot more stringent over the past 30 years, so we're going to meet current building codes when we install the new blocking.
This is on the 1986 edition, so it's probably from 1986, I would imagine, so 39 years.
Right. I think the book was about a 1/4 inch thick at that time.
Yeah.
Now it's about 3 or 4 inches thick.
Brian, can you just give them, I think when we talked originally, is it somewhere in the ballpark in the $50,000 range to do?
Yep, so we reached out to one of the contractors that has done work on both South Range and Derry Village as far as repairs, and they provided some budgetary pricing of around $50,000. Again, that will go out to bid for public contractors who are licensed in all manufacturers. So that's just preliminary pricing. It will go to however the school decides to do the public bid. We do have certain requirements that each contractor has to meet, but other than that, it's open to everybody.
So Jane, this money would come out of the current year budget.
Yes, it would come out of the current year maintenance budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have a $50,000 estimate. So what do you need us to vote on tonight? Are we voting on an RFP to go out, or are we voting on a dollar amount?
Well, Brian will do the RFP on their end. If you want them to come back once they get the quotes and vote on that, or you can vote for us to move forward with approving a low, whoever the low bidder is for the roof replacement. That's up to the board. How long do you think, Brian, when you put it out to bid, will it take to get
So we'll
quotes in?
require a pre-bid walkthrough. It's mandatory so that all the contractors can see the roof and actually see what they're doing before they bid. So we'll put that out, and once we do that pre-bid walkthrough, we typically allow a full 10 days to get the turnaround for the bids, so that way everybody's familiar with the job. We typically try to keep it between 3 or 4 bidders, just because it makes it more competitive, and each bidder tries to provide the best pricing, and that way you're not getting, unqualified bidders in, but, yep, so about 2 weeks, give or take.
I don't think you'd have that turnaround by our next board meeting, which is February 11th. We wouldn't have, so it'd have to either go to the next board meeting after that. But we would like to do it this winter because, as you can see, it's quite a gaping hole there.
Yep, yeah, it's allowing wind-driven rain in, and if rain gets in and it freezes, it could expand and potentially cause more problems, knocking bricks out, damaging CMU walls. But as you can see, the water is getting into that system right now.
It looks like we wouldn't make it for the 11th, but we could probably bring it to the March 10th board meeting.
Yeah, unless anyone objects, I think that's probably the way to go. But please comment.
I mean, if it's something that is going to be possibly made worse, right, by rain, freezing rain, snow.
Yep.
And we're not even going to be able to get a bid out until middle of March. I mean, we're
Talking springtime.
Well, you'd be coming back with the bids for the March.
so that means the work's not going to get done until late March.
So we could get a quicker turnaround, if that's something you guys would like. We could kind of get this out, possibly do a walkthrough by Thursday or Friday, and then give them a 1-week turnaround. We usually give 2 weeks for a full roof, so just this would be a lot easier, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just from a timing perspective, right? I mean, if we wait till March, it's not going to get fixed until the end of March and April, right? So like,
And then you're
what's
replacing the roofs anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if it's as urgent as Brian is making it out to be, I mean, I think we got to find a way to figure this out sooner rather than later. If not the latest, I would say the February meeting. That's just my
I
input.
agree with Jonathan.
If you are comfortable with a range, remember, we are taking this out of monies that we have available to us now in this budget. I agree with the idea that the sooner that we can move this along, the better. If you want to vote, you could vote on, Brian, are we thinking it's ballpark 50? Because the other piece to this is it's going to be part of the cost, it's going to be removed from the cost of when they do the rest of the Grinnell roof. So it is something that's going to be saved in a way. Do we have a range that you could give them that it's not to exceed, for instance? And if the school board is comfortable with that, then if it doesn't exceed such and such, we can move forward, and that will speed the process up.
The budgetary pricing, we could put that as a do not exceed limit. I would be comfortable with that. it's usually the budgetary pricing, it's right in line with it. We try and match it up. Like I said, we reached out to one contractor, so he's essentially already provided pricing. But typically, based on what we see from other projects in this area of similar nature, that's right around what it's gonna be. So I would be comfortable saying that's a do not exceed number.
50,000?
The 50,
Yeah, I think it was 51,000, give it, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. I think for posterity, there we go. If he says that he can get a turnaround within a week of coming back to the next meeting, I'd rather wait until an actual proposal and an actual thing comes in than to wing it and just give him a cap now, because that doesn't seem to make sense. I'd rather actually see something and have it proposed than, I mean, he says that he can do this and come around quick, then it should be ready by the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks, yeah? So I'd rather see that then than just give like a blanket cap and say, you know, go for it. That's just my opinion.
And Brian will do his best to get that done. Just keep in mind, we may not be able to get it in the, depending on how quick you can get those bids in, it may not be in the packet for that Friday. So we'll get it in your packet or to the board as soon as close to the 11th as possible.
So it's at this point, I guess somebody want to make a motion?
What are we motioning? I make a motion to wait until the proposal comes in. Oh, okay.
Well,
So
I'll set a
I guess.
motion on the table and we
if-
can,
All
If you
right,
wanna
so I
make
mean,
a
I guess
motion-
I would make a motion to wait until the proposal comes back from ARM for the next meeting to determine the cost of the project.
All right, first by Jenna, second by Brenda. Jason?
Yes.
Jenna?
Yes.
Jonathan?
So this is a motion to wait?
I would say if we're going to make a motion, it should be to move forward. And then if you don't want to, if you want to wait, you vote no.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
So can we rescind that motion?
Okay, I rescind my motion.
All right, I will move to approve the roofing project at Grinnell Elementary for an amount not to exceed $51,000.
Second.
First by Michael, second by Jonathan. Jason?
Yes.
Jenna?
No.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Jen? Michael?
Yes.
Brenda? No. Chair votes no as well. Motion passes 4-3. Appreciate it, so I guess we'll...
Thank you, Brian.
sorry.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. That's all I had for tonight.
Can I ask a favor for our March 11th meeting, 10th, excuse me? Can you have the financial statements, updated projections for where we project to be for June 30th?
Actually, I did have one more thing. Thank you for reminding me, David. I did have, we received Pinkerton's second.
I'm sorry, I meant to say February 11th, my bad.
February 11th, yes. I received Pinkerton's second tuition bill of the year. And we had 29, based on what we budgeted, we had 29 less students that we're being billed for than we budgeted. And we have so 29 less general ed tuitioned students than we budgeted for. We also have 32 less students in our specialized, we have 32 less resource students than we budgeted, and we have, hold on one second. And we have 7 less students in our specialized programming between HiSET. We have 4 less HiSET students, and HiSET, as you know, it's equivalent to a GED program. We have 2 less students in our ACT program, 2 less students in our PASSIS program. NECC is full at 12 students. That's the maximum capacity that we have there. So obviously I track this for budgetary reasons, and our next and final billing will come in March. But right now we're on track for where I think we're going to be. And yes, we can definitely have a financial for you at the next meeting.
Jane, so it's capped at, NECC you said was capped at 12. So do we have any out of district placements for NECC currently at the high school level?
At the high school level?
Yeah, are there any students that could fit into NECC at Pinkerton that can't because of the cap and having to go somewhere else?
Maybe Laura could answer that.
At this point, the cap at Pinkerton is not necessarily preventing students from going there. It's more, I guess, situational, excuse me, to student needs. And I would say more so it's at the younger grades that we've had students moving into the district that we have not had the capacity, staff-wise, that we've had to go out of district for.
Thank you.
Jane, question on that total number. I thought we were pretty aggressive with regards to budgeting back in '23. This seems like a pretty high number. Any insight as to, I mean, obviously we don't need, you might not know specifics, but just for kind of when we think about planning in the future, I mean, that's a pretty good number coming through with regards to the budget, right? Like we cut a bunch in '23 and now you're coming back. It's not a bad thing, but I'm just trying to think as we move forward for planning purposes, does it make sense to be a little more aggressive, or is this an anomaly and it's kind of a spike for a specific reason? But
well, I'm not sure of the reason why the students have moved out, but this spreadsheet I can certainly add to the, well, I can share it with you tomorrow, and I can actually have it posted on the website as well under the documents from tonight. I've tracked back from 17-18, and this document, in fact, will be from 19-20 to the 24-25, and some of the years were a lot higher, and then we did get more aggressive, but the higher years are really COVID, so it's really kind of skewing it. So right now, I think it's a fairly low number to be at 29 students. We have 29 less students than we planned on. But yes, the board has been more aggressive, and that's with those reductions.
thank you.
Sure. I can also tell you it's not at the freshman level. The freshman level, same number of students as the first billing. The sophomores, there are 2 less students. The juniors, 3 less students, and senior level are 6 less students. And then we have what they are now billing us, but we've never, in prior years, weren't billed for the 5+ year students, but they are identifying them separately in the billing this year. So for the 5+ year students, we have 20 of those. Yeah, we don't even budget for them, so they are, yeah.
Obviously, with the first semester just wrapping up as well, and hearing that there's 25+ year students that were fewer, and knowing that this was the second of 3 bills that we're receiving, right? Would it make sense? Is it possible to maybe look at doing this after the first, having them do their billing after the second semester closes? Because I wonder if, because they don't give us proration, but when it seems like students are achieving their full status as graduating, and that's why we are having fewer students. But now there's really a whole nother semester that we're gonna have to wait to find out. But there could be kids that literally just finished their semester, got final grades back, and now they've qualified as a graduated student, so they're not gonna be paying tuition, or they would not be a tuition student at Pinkerton any longer. I wonder, is there a potential where we are paying for students that are going to Pinkerton that may have just graduated between now and the next bill?
Sure, and yeah, and we can take a look at that. And some of them do swap out to, I guess, depending on last week's midterms or finals, maybe they're switching to a high-set program. I was surprised to see where there were a few students. So last billing was 20 less students. So this billing, we've increased that by 9. So, but I was interested to see when we're losing 9, I wanted to see if it was increasing our high set, because that's typically where I thought I would see them go. But that the high set actually went down 4 students. So, but they do their billing in increments of the 90 days, not by the program. And of course, if students, they pre-bill for the first half, and then we do 90 and 90. So if a student were to leave halfway, they do credit us on the next bill and things like that. But I will make sure this gets posted tomorrow and send it out to the board.
Does Pinkerton let you know why? Is it a switch? Oh. Does Pinkerton let you know when people leave why they have left? Do we know, like, between moving or dropping out, or, like, do we know why they leave the district?
I was going to ask that, and I've asked, because we used to get a list from Pinkerton, not with student names, but with, student A moved, student B, high set, whatever.
Yeah,
It would be good to have that information.
Because I spent that's what I did this afternoon, was go through the bill and student by student, looking at special ed students who enrolled and who left for whatever reason. Sometimes, in answering to your question, we do get a weekly update now from the registrar. And he will go, talk about what program they go from, one program, whether it's resource back over to regular ed. That can happen through students being discharged, not meeting eligibility anymore. That can be students refusing special ed services, which can tend to happen as students get older and they have the ability to make that decision on their own. Some students, would much rather go to another class or go to a regular ed study hall rather than go to a resource room for services as they get older. So we don't get real detailed reasons, but we do get a little, what program they went to, if they go to high set, if they dropped out completely. There is a message about that.
And I wasn't only referring to special ed students, we used to get it for all
Yeah, we
students.
get it for everybody.
Yeah.
And in the same token, we get the students who may have been recently identified and that they've moved from regular ed to resource. So we get I think Kevin does a nice job of keeping us updated with that. And they do, give us the date. We're credited from that date forward if students, we have some students that will leave and a week later will come back. So there's a lot of, itemized lists.
Jane, one last thing. With the financial statement, can we, now that we have this roof discussion tonight, can you make a recommendation on the East Derry divider wall as well? If we have the ability to make that work before June 30th? May not be able to now with the roof issue, I don't know, but it's something I'd just like to talk about and wrap up from our budget discussions.
Yes, I can absolutely do that. I think we're, watching the federal funds piece right now, but if there was no impact by federal funds, I can definitely make a recommendation. Sure.
Can I actually ask you guys, and maybe this is something for Austin to address, but the memo that went out from the White House Office of Management and Budget putting a temporary pause on federal grants, what are you guys hearing as to how that could possibly impact school districts, particularly us?
Okay, we got a little input, first of all, from our governor. This is the weather forecast. That's the wrong thing. Get to that later. Governor Kelly Ayotte released the following statement: while I support a common sense review of federal spending to ensure it is in the taxpayers' best interest, we cannot allow interruptions to critical services for those who depend on them. My office has been in communication with the White House to ensure that our citizens are not negatively impacted by any unintended impacts and that critical services continue without interruption. Our Commissioner of Education, Frank Edelblut, indicated that they are waiting for further clarity regarding the memorandum, and they have been advised that the funding pause applies only to discretionary grants at the U.S. Department of Education. The temporary pause does not impact Title I, IDEA, or other formula grants, nor does it apply to federal Pell Grants and director loans under Title IV, HEA. He indicates they will continue to monitor the situation and provide guidance when more information is available. And the executive director of the New Hampshire School Administrators Association, as of noon, the best understanding is that the Office of Management and Budget's memo ordering federal agencies to temporarily pause activities related to obligations or disbursements of federal financial assistance will not impact federal formula funds that have already been obligated and awarded. Our interpretation is that formula funds such as ESSER, SEA, and IDEA would be exempt from this pause. So it's happening everywhere, of course, and to everyone. Everybody is waiting to see. It looks like most likely the funds that have been already allocated, hopefully, will continue for this year. Of course, there are some questions for next year.
Thanks, Austin.
All right, Austin. We got personnel.
Before personnel, I've got one more thing related to that. We all talked about the electronic buses, the grant that it was awarded to First Student temporarily for at least the next 90 days. That's on hold. So that's another potential grant that's being affected because we don't believe that those monies have been allocated as of yet. So that's on a 90-day hold, and we will keep you updated. All right. Personnel. I have the list of retirements. A little weird, I'll be reading off my own name. You can accept all of these with regret except for mine. If you don't want to do that, feel free, but I would, we have 16 retirements. Just a reminder that anybody, any teacher that, well, they're all part of the DEA if they are a teacher, but anybody, employee in the DEA, if the contract passes in March, then they have until April 1st to rescind their resignation. But for the time being, here is the list. Kim Carpentino, Student Safety Coordinator, District. Nancy Connolly, Head Cook, Food Service. Louise Dyes, Elementary School Teacher, Ernest P. Barker Elementary School. Austin Garofalo, Superintendent of Schools, District. Tracy Graham, Network Administrator, District. She actually retired on December 30, I think it was before the 31st, but basically December 31st, but we haven't brought her name forward yet. Susan Hebert, Student Services Administrative Assistant, District. Kathy Kennedy, Human Resource Director, District. Susan Linehan, School Nurse, South Range Elementary School. Wendy Mahoney, Reading Specialist, Ernest P. Barker Elementary School. Kelly Marafa, Special Education Teacher, West Runningbrook Intermediate School. Catherine Murphy, School Nurse, East Area Memorial Elementary School. Matthew Olson, Principal, South Range Elementary School. Deborah Richardson, Head Cook, Food Service. Lynn Vaness, Paraprofessional, South Range Elementary School. Laura Walker, School Nurse, West Runningbrook Intermediate School. And Eric Werner, Math Teacher, Gilbert H. Hood Middle School.
Move to accept with regret.
First by Jason, second by Brenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes 7-0. Sure.
This is an unbelievable list of history, having taught so many children, given so much to our district, seen so many changes in our district. I can't even think of a way to say thank you to these people, because they've given so much to our kids and to our district and to our town. They will absolutely be greatly missed. So thank you for all that you've done for our district, and you will be missed, and I don't know how we're going to replace all these people.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, you look at this list, you've got, 2 longtime principals, obviously Austin, Kathy Kennedy, who's, Human Resources Director, teachers that have been here for 20 plus years. And the thing that, obviously, good luck to everyone in their well-deserved retirement, but we're losing 3 nurses.
Yeah.
Those are difficult positions to fill.
I keep talking to the nurses. They do a great job of talking to their colleagues that are out there. Many of them, when they started with us, they still continue to do part-time work on weekends and so forth. So they still have a lot of connections, and we're hoping that some of their people that they know will come through, because it's a great position when nurses are ready to maybe move out of the hospitals and the super fast paced. Don't get me wrong. You talk to Sue Lerner here at South Range about how fast paced it can be when the colds are going around and so forth. But Monday through Friday, a day shift as compared to some of the long hours that nurses do and so forth. So we are looking forward to getting some applications when these positions open up.
All right, thank you, Austin. I guess you're still up for your update.
Yep. Last school board meeting, I spoke about the procedure for calling an early release, delayed opening, traditional snow day, and emergency remote learning day. So far, we have had a snowstorm go south, a snowstorm on a Saturday, then last Sunday, Monday, we lucked out again with I say lucked out. Many of you, if the students were here, they may decide otherwise. But we lucked out again with a snowstorm that arrived on Sunday and ended on a non-school Monday. It seems this lucky streak continues because the snow coming later this evening into Wednesday seems to be fizzling out, so that we will most likely not even need a delay. Whew. We shall see. We'll see if the phone rings at 4 o'clock. Right. Yeah. This is Solid Oak, so I'll knock on that. Speaking of winter weather, we had an awful cold snap last week. Brenda mentioned this earlier, which caused a sprinkler pipe in the Gilbert H. Hood Middle School dining hall to burst. I want to thank the students for their listening and following of directions as we evacuated to Grinnell Elementary School and then returned to Gilbert H. Hood to finish the day. Thank you to Principal Lance and our wonderful Grinnell staff who accommodated the students and our staff from Gilbert H. Hood. Thank you to the staff at Gilbert H. Hood who stayed and didn't have students at that time, and a lot of them were unified arts teachers and helped out with maneuvering people around and stacking chairs in the dining hall and everything else you can think of. Thank you to the Gilbert H. Hood administrative team and their entire staff. They immediately stepped into their roles of the incident command system that they have so purposely practiced just for this type of an event. Food Service Director Christina Lebelzik and the food service staff made sure all our students received lunch, and Jeremy Lamoth and his maintenance personnel immediately jumped into action so the water and ceiling tiles were removed as quickly as possible. A final thank you goes out to the Derry Police, the State Health Inspector, and especially the Derry Fire Department, who made sure the students and staff were safe, helped with cleanup, and got the building back up and running so the students could return to Gilbert H. Hood Middle School prior to dismissal. It was a wonderful group effort. Here I go again. Kindergarten registration is opened. It just opened yesterday, January 27th at 8 a.m. Yes, we got a couple of phone calls. There was a minor glitch, which was taken care of right away. But last year, I spent many of these superintendent reports reminding families that this is on a first-come, first-served basis for seats in their child's neighborhood school. If you have a child of kindergarten age, we will definitely have a seat for you, but it is not guaranteed that it will be at the school where they spend the following 4 years. So if you want to make sure your child attends their neighborhood school for kindergarten, please register them as soon as possible. Once again, we've reached out to the schools, and the secretaries out front are talking to anybody that calls in and asks any questions and reminding them that this is first come, first served for the neighborhood school. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the main office at your child's neighborhood school, and somebody will assist you. As we've heard before, I want to thank all of the school principals who are with us tonight. They take a great deal of pride in their students, the staff, and their schools, and I appreciate their dedication and commitment. We, as was mentioned by Joe Crawford, we had our entire curriculum department here, even though they weren't presenting. Secondary Learning Coordinator Dennis Mayo, Elementary Learning Coordinator Erin Schwannard, Coordinator of Student Wellness Mitch Edwards, and our Director of Curriculum, right over here to my right, Kim Conant, Director of Curriculum and Grants, sorry, at least for now. Yeah. All of which are overseen by Assistant Superintendent Joe Crawford. Congratulations to the Gilbert H. Hood Middle School administrators, teacher and student council advisor, Lara Owens, and the student council members presenting tonight. They did a great job. I want to remind everybody that this weekend is the Gilbert H. Hood Middle School Stage Notes play, which will be performed at the Pinkerton Academy Stockbridge Theater. The first show is Friday night, January 31st at 7 p.m., and there is a matinee on Saturday, so you can come to the deliberative session Saturday morning at 10 o'clock at the West Runningbrook Intermediate School Gymnasium. Grab a little bit of lunch, hopefully have some time to relax, and then take in the Gilbert H. Hood Middle School matinee that afternoon. This year, the play is Beauty and the Beast Jr., and after many years of seeing the school plays, it is definitely a must-see event. Thank you.
Thanks, Austin. Appreciate it. FYIs, Michael alluded earlier tonight, we have a special meet and greet of the superintendent candidates on Thursday night, open to the public. It's beginning at 5:30 at the West Runningbrook cafeteria. I'll get more into the committee stuff when we talk committees, but I think Austin's already addressed the federal funding issue, so I don't say anybody else has anything else. That's all I got for FYIs.
I mean, I would remind everyone, again, Saturday, 10 a.m., West Runningbrook Intermediate School Gymnasium is the deliberative session. So it is, it's very important that everyone comes out for that. Everyone knows the proposals that we have on the table. If you'd like to vote on them in March, you got to come out to the deliberative session and get them there.
Thank you.
And one other thing, we have 5 open board seats. If you're interested in running, you have until 5 p.m. on Friday to file with the town clerk.
All right, definitely. All right, committees, we got manifest.
I'll move to approve the manifest for a grand total of $2,179,846.03. That consists of general expenses of $992,280.65 and payroll of $1,187,565.38.
Second.
All right, we got a first by Jonathan and a second by Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes 7-0. Other committee updates, I mentioned the superintendent search committee meeting is, interviews are Thursday and Friday at the Westbrook Inn. And we have 2 candidates, Michael Flynn and Joe Crawford, that will be interviewing those 2 days. And then I'm looking forward to that. And as I mentioned, the meet and greet on Thursday night at 5:30 at the West Rainbow Cafeteria. Yes, and a very big thank you for the Westbrook Inn. They're providing the space at basically no cost except for cleaning fees, which was very nice of them, to have a venue of professionalism. So that's good. Very, very, very grateful for that. And they do that for Austin. I'm not mistaken. They do that a lot for us, for a lot of our events. So they're very, very gracious to do that for us. Any other committee updates? So the only thing I would add, we will have a facilities meeting pretty shortly after the deliberative session. We have some materials that we're waiting to finalize based on what happened, making sure everything stays where it is planned on that day. So we will have more to come for the next meeting, February 11th, but we just wanted to hold off distributing any materials until everything has been voted on at the deliberative. I think that's it. Other business? All right. Motion to adjourn. First by Jonathan, second by Jason. All in favor? Aye. Vote 7-0. Thank you guys. Have a great night.